Neil.
Well, the health care fight may soon be part of an even bigger fight, the debt ceiling battle. House Republicans today proposing a plan that would essentially tie the two together.
It delays Obamacare for 1 year for all American families.
All right, well, that's something Nancy Pelosi says just is a non-starter with Democrats.
I think it's really clear that, if anything, that diminishes the Affordable Care Act is not anything we want to support.
All right, so Mike Emanuel in the middle of all of this and probably going to be working many a late night trying to cover this. Michael, what do you think?
Well, hi, Neil. Yeah, House Republican leaders put some key components they knew would win the support of their Republican members to try and get them to buy on to increasing the government's ability to borrow. They include that 1 year delay of Obamacare, building the Keystone XL pipeline immediately, and tax reform, making the code simpler, fairer, and flatter. Here is the House Speaker making his case.
Now, the president says, I'm not going to negotiate. Well, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work that way. We're not going to ignore Washington's spending problem, and we're not going to accept this new normal of a weak economy, no new jobs, and shrinking wages.
Across the Capitol, Democratic leaders don't care for all of this talk about defunding or delaying Obamacare. They want extensions without negotiations.
Send us a clean CR, a clean debt ceiling. That's the path forward. There's no need for conversations. We've spoken loudly and clearly, and we have the support of the President of the United States, and that's pretty good.
You heard Leader Reid make reference to the CR, the continuing resolution to keep the government running after October 1st. He is on the Senate floor right now to try to get a deal to vote on that tonight because, of course, the House will still need to take action. Plenty of uncertainty with serious deadlines here on Capitol Hill. Neil.
Mike, you know, while I was down there with you, I got a sense, talking to a lot of these guys, that at least a partial shutdown is looking very, very likely. That time's wasted, and there's very little time to get at least a deal on the budget done, leaving aside the deadline on the debt ceiling a couple of weeks later. What's your sense?
Well, yeah, because the Republicans keep talking about doing something to Obamacare. The president doesn't want any part of that, and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid doesn't want any part of it. So it makes you wonder what House Republicans would be willing to accept to keep the lights on, and then you've got the debt ceiling right after it. And so there are some serious deadlines, and it feels like both parties are in their respective corners talking over each other, not to each other.
All right. Thank you, Michael, very much. Mike Emanuel, one more footnote on this, if I can, before we go on to something else here. And this is to you, Mr. President. I mean, the bottom line is business guys, you know, they tend to be driven just by green, sir, money. And they make their decisions based on money coming in or not, fears realized or not. And they've crunched a lot of these numbers and concluded by the dozens and exiting workers by the tens and hundreds of thousands that this thing just isn't worth the time. This healthcare thing is not worth the time. I don't even know if they watch Fox. I don't even know if they have time to watch Fox. They're watching their bottom line, and they have concluded this thing ain't cutting it. So they're cutting by the hundreds of thousands. Mr. President, focus on what they're doing. You can go ahead and ignore what we're doing.